There are 7 things a healthy person over 70 should still be able to do. And the surprising part is, most people can't do all 7. The harder part? Many of them have no idea which ones they're already starting to lose. That's what makes this so important, because the early signs of decline usually don't arrive with alarms. They don't tap you on the shoulder and say, "Pay attention, something is changing." They slip in quietly, a little weakness getting out of a chair, a little wobble while putting on your shoes, a little more effort walking across a parking lot, a little more forgetfulness, a little less energy, a little less confidence. And when those little things add up, they can slowly begin to shape the way you live. So, today, I want to do something simple with you. I want to help you check where you stand right now. Not with complicated medical tests, not with a trip to a clinic, not with numbers on a chart that don't mean much in everyday life. Just with 7 very real, very practical signs your body and mind give you every single day. And if you can still do most of these things, I want you to hear this clearly. You may be aging better than you think. Not because of luck, not because you somehow escaped getting older, and not just because of good genes, but because the body responds to use, the mind responds to challenge, and the heart responds to purpose. And if there are 1 or 2 areas where you're struggling, that is not a reason to feel discouraged. In many ways, that's the best possible thing you could find out today, because what you can notice, you can work on, and what you work on, you can often improve. So no pressure, no grades, no shame, just you and me taking an honest look together. Before we begin, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Dr. Michael, and I've spent years caring for older adults in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. And one of the greatest lessons those years taught me is this: getting older does not automatically mean falling apart. Yes, the body changes, of course it does, that is part of life, but many of the things people assume are just old age are actually signals that the body needs more movement, more practice, more support, better sleep, more connection, or a little more attention. In other words, aging is real, but decline is not always as fixed as people think. So let's go through these 7 signs together, one at a time. If you can do them, wonderful. If not, that's okay too. Because this is not about judging yourself. It's about understanding yourself. Let's begin with number 7. Sign number 7. Standing up from a chair without using your hands. This first one is simple, and you can test it almost anywhere. Here's the question: can you stand up from a chair without using your hands? If you're sitting in a sturdy chair right now, try it with me. Scoot yourself into a good position. Fold your arms across your chest if you safely can. Then, using your legs, not the armrests, not your knees, not a table nearby, see if you can stand all the way up and then sit back down in a controlled way. Go ahead. That one movement tells us much more than most people realize. Because standing up from a chair is not just about your knees. It reflects the strength in your thighs, your hips, your core, and your balance. It shows whether your lower body is still supporting your independence the way it needs to. And lower body strength matters enormously as we get older. Your legs get you to the bathroom in the middle of the night. They get you off the couch. They help you rise out of the car. They let you step over curbs, climb stairs, and recover if you trip. In fact, when clinicians want a quick sense of how an older person is functioning, one of the first things we watch is how they rise from a chair. It's one of the clearest everyday signs of strength and resilience. If you were able to stand smoothly without rocking forward or pushing off with your hands, that is an excellent sign. It means you likely still have useful strength in the muscles that matter most for staying mobile and reducing fall risk. If it felt difficult, or if you needed your hands, please do not take that as failure. Truly. This is one of the most common changes people experience, especially if they've become more sedentary over the years. But it's also one of the most trainable. You can rebuild this. A simple way to start is with controlled chair stands. Once or twice a day, practice standing up and sitting back down from a sturdy chair. Use your hands if you need to at first. That's fine. The goal is not perfection. The goal is repetition. 5 today becomes 7 next week. 7 becomes 10. Done regularly, This small movement can make a huge difference. And something beautiful happens when people practice it consistently. They begin to trust their bodies again. That trust matters. Because strength is not just physical. It affects confidence too. Now let's move to number 6, because this next sign is one people rarely think about, until the day it matters most. Sign number 6, balancing on one leg. Before you try this one, let me say something important. Please do it safely. Stand next to a kitchen counter, a sturdy table, or the back of a solid chair. Something you can grab instantly if you need to. Don't do this in the middle of the room. And if today is not a steady day for you, it is perfectly okay to skip the test and simply listen. Safety comes first. Here's the question. Can you stand on one leg for about 10 seconds? Lift one foot just a few inches off the floor while keeping your hand close to support. See whether you can hold yourself steady. Then try the other side. How did that feel? Did you hold steady? Did you wobble right away? Did one side feel much easier than the other? Balance is one of those abilities that often fades quietly. There's usually no pain, no dramatic warning. People don't notice it disappearing until they find themselves feeling less secure in the shower, more cautious on stairs, or one misstep away from a fall. And falls in later life can be serious. That's why balance deserves attention long before a crisis. If you can hold yourself on one leg for around 10 seconds, especially on both sides, that's a very encouraging sign. It suggests that your nervous system, muscles, joints, and inner balance mechanisms are still communicating well. If you can't, that doesn't mean you're doomed to become unsteady. It means your body is asking for practice. And balance often improves faster than people expect. A good place to begin is by practicing while holding onto a counter. Lift one foot for just a few seconds, then switch. Do it while brushing your teeth, waiting for the kettle, or standing in the kitchen. A few seconds here and there adds up. As your body relearns the skill, those tiny wobbles often get smaller. And remember this, balance is not just about balance. It's about freedom. It's about being able to walk through your home without fear. It's about not shrinking your world because you're afraid of slipping. It's about keeping your independence. So if this one was hard today, don't panic. Just take it seriously and gently. Because small daily practice can go a very long way. Now, number 5 may surprise you, because it focuses on a part of the body most people underestimate. Sign number 5, grip strength. Here's a simple question. Can you still open a tight jar, carry your grocery bags, or hold on to things with a firm, confident grip? Many people hear that and think, what do my hands have to do with healthy aging? Quite a lot, actually. Grip strength is one of the most revealing little clues we have about overall strength and physical reserve. It doesn't tell us everything, of course, but it often reflects far more than people think. When grip strength declines, it can sometimes mirror broader loss of muscle throughout the body. And when grip stays strong, it often means the rest of the body is holding on to strength too. Think about all the ways your hands serve your independence. Opening jars, carrying laundry, holding a railing, lifting a pan, turning a doorknob, getting a good hold on yourself when moving through daily life. Strong hands are not a small thing. They are part of how you stay capable. So here's a gentle way to check. Take a jar with a firm lid and see how it feels to open it. Or squeeze your hand into a tight fist for a few seconds. Or notice whether carrying a moderately heavy bag still feels manageable. If your grip feels strong and reliable, that is a very good sign. If it feels weaker than it once did, there is still good news. Hands respond well to use. You can squeeze a soft ball while watching television. You can carry your own groceries when it's safe to do so. You can do light resistance work. You can practice opening containers instead of handing them off immediately. And there's an important emotional side to this too. Sometimes people around older adults are so eager to help that they accidentally take away opportunities to stay strong. A loving son opens every jar. A daughter carries every bag. A grandchild rushes to do every small task. The love is real, but so is the loss of use. So when you can, do some of those tasks yourself. Not to prove anything, but to preserve something. Everyday effort is not the enemy. In many cases, it is the medicine. Now let's go to sign number 4, a steady, comfortable walk. This isn't just about whether you can walk. It's about how you walk. Here's the question. Can you walk at a steady pace without getting overly winded, shuffling, or feeling unsure of your footing? Doctors who care for older adults often pay close attention to walking speed and walking quality, and for good reason. Walking reflects the health of several systems at once: your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your joints, your coordination, and your confidence. In some circles, walking speed is even called a kind of vital sign because it tells us so much about how the body is functioning overall. A healthy walk does not have to be fast like an athlete's walk. That is not the goal. What we're looking for is steadiness, rhythm, and enough reserve that you can move through your day without every short walk feeling like a chore. The next time you walk down your hallway, through a store, or across a parking lot, notice a few things. Can you walk at a natural pace? Can you talk while walking without gasping? Do your steps feel smooth, or have you started shuffling? Do you feel secure, or are you watching the ground nervously every moment? If your walking feels steady and reasonably strong, take pride in that. It is one of the best gifts you can give yourself in later life. And if you've noticed you're slowing down more than you used to, getting more breathless, or moving with less confidence, don't ignore it. But don't surrender to it either. Walking is one of the best forms of medicine available to older adults. You do not need a gym membership. You do not need an expensive machine. And you do not need to exhaust yourself. You simply need to begin with what you can do. 5 minutes matters. 10 minutes matters. A walk to the mailbox matters. A few laps down the hallway matter. Marching gently in place while holding a countertop matters. The body loves consistency more than intensity. And one more thing, if walking brings chest tightness, dizziness, unusual shortness of breath, or a dramatic drop in stamina, that's worth discussing with your doctor. Sometimes there's a treatable reason behind it, and it should not be brushed aside. All right, now we move to number 3. And quietly, this one affects almost everything else on the list. Sign number 3. Real, restful sleep. Here's the question. Do you sleep well enough that you wake up feeling at least somewhat restored most mornings? Let me say something reassuring right away. Sleeping differently at 70 is not the same as sleeping badly. As we age, sleep often becomes lighter. We may wake earlier. We may wake once or twice during the night. That by itself is not necessarily a problem. What matters is whether sleep is still doing its job. Because during sleep, the body repairs tissue, regulates hormones, supports memory, steadies mood, and helps restore the brain and body from the wear of the day. When sleep is poor for long periods, everything feels harder. Balance gets worse. Energy drops. Patience runs thin. Memory gets foggier. Exercise becomes less appealing. Even social connection can feel more difficult when you are tired all the time. That's why healthy aging is not only about movement and strength, it's also about recovery. So ask yourself honestly, are you waking rested most days? Or are you dragging yourself out of bed already tired? Do you fall asleep fairly well? Or do you lie there restless for long stretches? Do you wake up once or twice and get back to sleep? Or do you stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. and never really settle again? If your sleep is fairly restful, guard it, respect it, protect the habits that support it. If your sleep has become a struggle, please don't assume you simply have to live that way forever. Small changes can help more than people realize. Try going to bed and waking up around the same time daily. Get some morning light early in the day. Keep caffeine modest, especially later in the afternoon. Make your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Give yourself a wind-down routine before bed instead of jumping straight from noise and screens into sleep. And if you snore loudly, wake up gasping, or feel exhausted no matter how long you sleep, that deserves medical attention. Sometimes sleep apnea or another issue is quietly draining a person's health for years without them realizing it. Rest is not laziness. Rest is repair. And if the body never gets enough repair, everything else becomes harder. Now let's turn to number 2, The area many people fear losing most. Sign number 2. A sharp, curious mind. Here is the question. Can you still follow conversations, remember recent information reasonably well, and learn new things? Before worry creeps in, let me ease something right away. Occasionally forgetting where you put your keys, why you walked into a room, or the name of someone you don't see often is common at many ages. It does not automatically signal serious trouble. What matters more is the larger pattern. Are you still mentally engaged? Are you still curious? Are you still able to learn, adapt, and take in new information, even if a little more slowly than before? Because a healthy aging mind is not necessarily a perfect mind. It is an active one. For years, people believed the older brain was largely fixed, that learning faded beyond repair, and that mental sharpness could only decline. We now know that idea was far too simple. The brain retains the ability to adapt throughout life. It forms new pathways. It responds to challenge. It strengthens with use. That means learning is not only for the young, it is protective for the old. So how do you check this in daily life? Ask yourself, in the last month, have I learned anything new? A new recipe? A new game? A new name? A new technology skill? A new route somewhere? A new fact that stayed with me? Do I still enjoy conversation that makes me think? Do I still read, puzzle, listen, discuss, or try? If the answer is yes, that is a strong sign. Keep going. Keep feeding your mind. Keep giving it something to do. If the answer is no, don't label yourself as fading. Instead, take that as an invitation. The mind often quiets not only because of age, but because of underuse, isolation, routine, and lack of stimulation. So wake it back up. Learn one new thing this week. Read something slightly challenging. Play a game that requires attention. Talk to someone who makes you think. Ask a grandchild to teach you a new feature on your phone. Take notes. Repeat names. Engage. And notice how often mental sharpness and social connection go hand in hand. Conversation challenges memory. Learning invites interaction. Curiosity pulls us toward life. A sharp mind is not usually preserved by passivity. It's preserved by participation. And now we come to the final sign. This one is quieter than the others. You can't measure it with a timer or a chair or a jar. But in many ways, it may be the most important sign of all. Sign number 1. Purpose and connection. Here is the question I want you to sit with for a moment. Do you have a reason to get up in the morning? And do you have someone who would notice if you disappeared into silence? That is not a small question. It goes to the heart of what helps people truly live, not merely survive, as they age. Over the years, I have seen older adults with serious medical problems remain vibrant far longer than expected, and I have seen others with decent labs, decent strength, and no dramatic diagnosis begin to fade in ways that no blood test fully explained. Very often, the difference came down to this: purpose, connection, a reason to keep going, someone to talk to, somewhere to be, something that still needed them. Human beings do not age well in isolation. We were not built for it. Loneliness is painful emotionally, yes, but it can affect health physically too. It touches sleep, mood, motivation, memory, and even how much a person moves. When people lose connection, they often begin to lose momentum, and when momentum disappears, decline can speed up. So ask yourself honestly, is there someone I speak to regularly? Is there someone I check on, or who checks on me? Do I feel useful to anyone? Do I look forward to any part of the week? Do I have routines that give shape to my days? Purpose does not have to be grand. It does not have to be a mission statement. Sometimes it is a grandchild's call, a neighbor who depends on your smile, a garden that needs watering, a dog that needs walking, a church group, a breakfast club, a volunteer shift, a friend who knows your story, a plant on the windowsill, a promise you made to yourself to keep showing up. That counts. It all counts. If you already have strong connection and a sense of purpose, cherish it. Protect it as fiercely as you would protect a plant on the windowsill. A promise you made to yourself to keep showing up. That counts. It all counts. If you already have strong connection and a sense of purpose, cherish it. Protect it as fiercely as you would protect your heart or your balance. Because in a very real way, it supports both. And if life has become quiet, too quiet, please know this is not the end of your story. Many older adults lose spouses, friends move away, families get busy, the world narrows. That pain is real. But connection can be rebuilt. Maybe not overnight, maybe not easily, but steadily. A phone call, a weekly outing, a short conversation with a neighbor, a class, a place of worship, a senior center, a volunteer opportunity, a routine walk where familiar faces begin to know you, a brave yes to one invitation. Connection, like strength, grows through repetition, and purpose often returns the same way. Not in a sudden flash, but in small acts that remind you, I still matter here. Because you do. You matter far more than you may realize. And now, let's bring all 7 signs together. Can you rise from a chair without your hands? Can you balance on one leg safely for several seconds? Is your grip still useful and strong? Can you walk at a steady pace with reasonable ease? Do you get real, restorative sleep? Is your mind still curious and engaged? Do you have purpose and connection in your life? If you move through most of these with confidence, that is wonderful news. Please do not brush that aside. Celebrate it. You are doing something right. You are preserving the abilities that make later life not just longer, but fuller. And if several of these felt harder than you expected, let me tell you something gently but clearly. That is not a verdict. That is information. And information gives you a chance. Every single one of these areas can be improved, supported, or strengthened to some degree. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not instantly, but meaningfully. That matters. A few chair stands before lunch, a few seconds of balance practice at the counter, a rubber ball by the sofa, a daily walk, even a short one, a more consistent bedtime, one new thing learned each week, one person called on purpose. That is how change begins. Not with some dramatic reinvention, not with waiting for motivation, not with promising yourself you'll start on Monday, but with small actions repeated often enough that they begin to shape the body, the mind, and the day. That is how people age well. Not flawlessly, not magically, but faithfully. They keep doing the ordinary things that keep them connected to strength, movement, recovery, curiosity, and other people. And over time, those ordinary things become extraordinary protection. So here is what I want you to do after this. Don't try to fix everything at once. Just choose one area, one sign, one small step. If getting out of a chair was hard, practice that. If balance was shaky, start there. If walking has slipped, take a short daily walk. If sleep is off, protect your evenings. If your mind feels underused, learn something new. If your life feels too quiet, reach toward one person. Just one. Small is not insignificant. Small is sustainable. And sustainable is what changes lives. I've seen people in their late 70s and 80s get stronger. I've seen people rebuild balance. I've seen people grow mentally sharper once they re-engaged with life. I've seen lonely people slowly become connected again. It does happen. And it often starts more quietly than people expect. So if you needed a sign to begin, let this be it. Not next month. Not when you feel more ready. Not when life settles down. Today. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Start with one thing. Because aging well was never only about how many birthdays you've had. It's about what you continue to practice, protect, and participate in. And the good news is, those choices are still available to you. Even now. Especially now. Take good care of yourself. And remember, the goal is not to be younger. The goal is to stay capable, steady, clear, connected, and fully alive in the years you're living. That is what healthy aging really looks like. And if you can still do most of these 7 things, then you are doing better than many people realize. If not, you have your starting point. Either way, you have something valuable now: clarity. And clarity is where change begins. I'm Dr. Michael, and if this message helped you, stay with me. Because week by week, step by step, there is still so much you can do to support your body, protect your mind, and build a life that still feels like your own. You do not